driver's seat of the series, but if Monolithic wants to make that change, now is a good time to start.
Out of Knights Templar, a free 40 seconds, now another 15. They're gonna get basically a full 60 on P4.
I work it out. And I'll be somewhere that you need me, and I'll be holding my breath, waiting for you to show.
Hope is hope right now.
Oh, Lord! Oh, feed him! 7 league, season 3 thus far. God damn it, I'm hyped. K7, you just got a trade here.
Yeah, welcome. This is Headshot, powered by K7 League. I am your host, Sauce Mandela, back for episode 3. Finishing off week 2 here. I'm joined by my co-host, Shifty HJP. Hunter, how you doing?
Good, man. Good. It was a long week. Was ready to get this started and get this underway. Not only the matches, but also getting to record the headshot with you again, powered by K7. We had a wonderful week of Call of Duty, both on stream and off stream.
Lots of changes.
Upsets. Yeah, some interesting upsets, some changes, and all around a really solid week number 2 for the league.
Definitely. Just today, I mean, a couple roster changes.
It's honestly kind of hard to keep up with at times, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very hard to keep up with these amateur COD kids. What was I gonna say? Gigantic upset last night. Gigantic upset. My my pick to win the league, I should say. Got swept 3-0, Clemson.
Yeah, in an ugly fashion. By Aspire. I don't know if you guys watching were able to tune into the match that took place last night. Aspire between Clemson Esports. One that I'm sure people on Aspire and Aspire fans were looking forward to being able to notch that win in their belt, but something that a lot of people around the league were not expecting that result from. And it was a great match. Like you said, we were talking about it off stream earlier that Clemson had some opportunities, some brief flashes in the pan of greatness to try and bring that series back, but ultimately snuffed out by one of the players here who we actually have joining us on the podcast.
Yeah. Before I get to our guest, I want to say Aspire got a lot of credibility, I think, within the league and league staff with this win, with beating Clemson. I think also to touch on your point of our previous conversation before we started recording, Clemson got their ass beat in map 1, but they were 1 to 2 momentum swings away on every other map from winning that map. So it ended up being a close match, but round 1 was a complete ass beating, and I don't know if they just hadn't woke up yet or what happened, but Aspire made their statement last night. That was a statement win for them.
I agree. In no small part to the player joining us today, Bonk. We have Bonk, one of the players from Aspire. How are you doing, sir?
Good, fellas. Thanks for having me. How you guys doing?
Thanks for being on here, man. I'm doing well, Sauce.
Relaxing, chilling. You know how I do it.
So, Bonk, I got a couple questions for you. One of them comprising around that first map win that Sauce was just momentarily speaking on, 250 to 76, mud hole stomping in that first map on Embassy. Were you guys coming out just shooting nukes? Did you guys play before that? What was the team chem like going into map number 1? And how do you feel that dictated the rest of the match?
Yeah, so we probably scrimmed for like an hour and a half beforehand, nothing too crazy.
Sure.
But Embassy is definitely our strongest hardpoint map, and a lot of teams don't really look to veto that map because Hydro's usually gone, and then
Mm-hmm.
you have to choose between the four, and we chose to be the map pick for the first map, and we see like all the speculations and all the predictions and all that shit, so we're just like,
I get it.
we gotta try and show them what we're about, so we're gonna choose our strongest map first, right? Like, gotta go out swinging, and yeah, we smoked them really bad map one.
Yeah, you
Absolutely.
guys played really well, really well.
What were your before you move on, Hunter? What were
No,
your
go ahead.
vetoes?
I vetoed Fortress Hardpoint.
Okay.
As you should.
Fortress Hardpoint sucks.
As
Absolutely.
It's just like playing Bokeh from last year.
You should. I hear a lot of comparisons between those two maps, so that doesn't.
I know a
shock
lot
me.
of people that liked playing Bocage too.
Ew.
Yeah, no, not map's
The
horrible.
sweaties.
We vetoed Embassy S&D. We never play Embassy S&D. That map is also horrible. It's literally just one side of the map, and then we vetoed a solo control first, and they chose the Fortress actually, which caught us by surprise because not many people like to choose Fortress. So we were just expecting to get a hotel, and we were like, "Oh shit! Like this could actually be bad." So we barely played Fortress. Like every team just plays hotel. But yeah,
Do you think that was a wild card pick from them, or do you think they picked it to try and throw you off, or do you think they've practiced that?
honestly, it's probably just to throw us off. Like if there's any VOD on us anywhere in the world, it's only on hotel control.
Mm,
And this league, it's only been hotel control, obviously, against Final Form,
Final
I
Form.
believe, is the first.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
against Final Form. So I don't know. They're probably just seeing like we were a decent control team. They might as well just try and throw a little curveball, I guess. I don't know.
Gotcha.
I respect that. I agree with you in that voting Fortress is typically one of the first things to go, mainly because that map, to your point, is how do I say it nicely? Not a fan favorite. Is how I'll say it. Definitely a very skewed map in terms of map control, which is one thing that I did want to talk about with you actually. So going back through the VOD today before we recorded, I always like to go back through the VOD and take some notes, some points of interest and things to talk about on the podcast. And one thing that I noticed was map control. Map control. You guys had it pretty much the entirety of not only the hard point, but also the control on Fortress. I noticed that you guys were playing really well together in watching the necessary angles and holding down the rotations, especially on that map number one. Do you think that your team communication, your team chemistry, do you think that blends? Or do you think that lends rather to the incredible map control that you guys can have? Do you guys have solid team comms? I know that's one thing that a lot of amateur teams nitpick, right? Is that they feel that their teammates don't do enough small talk. They don't call out where they spawn. They don't call out what they're looking at. You don't hear the responses back and forth. Would you say that your guys' team chemistry and communication is at its peak right now, or is there still some room left to be desired?
About our team chemistry, I mean, me and Sue have been best friends since we were in diapers. So I mean,
Wow. Okay.
that's my AR duo, right? So
Sure.
it's it doesn't get much better than that.
Mhm.
Pops I played with in CCL, actually in Vanguard. So that's how I have connected with him. And Sus is actually another IRL of me and Sue. So the chemistry is always gonna be there. Like
Having 3 IRLs on one squad is insane chemistry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the blood
absolutely.
runs thicker than water there for sure.
Yeah, Sasha's or Pops is an IRL too.
Oh
But
wow.
yeah, yeah, he goes to the same college as me.
Sure.
Lives in the same city as me. So our chemistry is definitely there. About our communication, I think the communication and map control is definitely our strongest point.
Mhm.
There's a lot of times, especially right now when we're scrimming and we're getting fragged by 25 kills, but it's a 10-point game. And it's just like we're playing the game properly, but our gunnies are just not there yet.
Sure,
guess,
sure, I get it.
'cause
Yeah.
you talk about these amateur teams, they're like cracked 18-year-olds, and
Mhm.
you know, like we're all in our 20s doing college. Like we can't sit there shooting bots for 17 hours straight, right?
Sure,
But
sure.
that's just like the one thing is like our gunnies aren't just there with other top AM teams. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, we're definitely smarter than a lot of the other teams, and that helps us quite a bit.
Sometimes the pen is mightier than the sword, and in this case, the microphone. So I agree that the team chemistry is so important, especially in hardpoint, which you guys absolutely destroyed. An interesting stat that I don't know if you may have noticed, but one thing that lends to your map control uh, topic and how good it was I don't know if you knew this, but you guys outfragged in terms of non-traded kills by over double. So you guys had 70 non-traded kills in that first hard point to 34 from Clemson. So you guys were able to get kills, get away, have somebody come back and watch that angle at a ludicrous level.
And that very much shows in watching the VOD and watching the match too. You can tell on camera very quickly how much more Aspire was trading and how much less Clemson wasn't. Clemson was dying and rarely getting traded kills. And it
I
was
agree.
very obvious on camera.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, well, and again, the score line leading to that fact as well. I mean, the hard point, the name of the game is King of the Hill, essentially, right? But the other team can't get in the hill if you slay them off the map. So, I have one more question for you, personally, and it's in relation to Sue and Pups. You mentioned them earlier about how you had been playing with them for a little while. They were fragging out that series, a combined 52 and 29 from them in the hardpoint map. What role were you playing across that series? And how do you feel about how much easier it is to play that role when your teammates are fragging out like that?
I mean, going into it, like I told you guys earlier, I got strep throat.
Sure.
I had a Dirk Nowitzki game coming out of me, but
Sure, sure.
minus the 40 points. So, you know, I was just kind of.
Hey, and that's not us dogging on how you played. You played very well as well. That's not what we're saying. But the point I'm making is how much easier does it make your job when you don't have to carry the load, right? When you can
Yeah.
pick up the extra stuff and let your teammates roam around and frag.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like my job in general is just to hold the spawns, you know, hold the
Sure,
lanes.
sure.
So, and I'm just holding the entire side of one map, and then I have Sue and Pups going crazy, and it's where they are at all times.
Right.
You know, it makes it impossible for them to play the game, especially on the map like Embassy, where we're really good at reading spawns and holding cutoffs. Like I could literally just sit top AC and hold that entire side of the map the entire game. Who cares if I get no engagements? Like they're going,
Yeah, right.
they're going crazy. And,
Right.
like it doesn't matter. Like those two guys are gross. So, you know, it was really good to see them frying again.
Definitely opened some eyes, I think, across the league. Not only the league, but the staff and the fans as well. You guys definitely looked like a terror on the map. And with Safari Esports coming up next week, I'm sure you guys will be able to keep the train running. Cole,
If that match
anything
can
you
even get
had?
booked.
Yeah, no
Yeah, no
kidding.
kidding.
I know, no kidding. We've been hearing about that.
Yeah, Bonk,
It's been, difficult.
I got one more thing before you go. I'm kind of newer to the stat sheets that we use and that Trig's been using, and I guess Breaking Point GG also uses it or uses some sort of similar formulas. So there's an overall rating that we have here in our stat sheet, and your overall rating's pretty good in most of your game modes, but it's a 64 in control. That's 11 lower than all your other teammates, and I was wondering if you feel like that actually correlates to your gameplay or if the number's complete bullshit.
Nah, it's all stats, man. Like honestly, like just because I have less engagements on control, like I always will have less than everyone on my team because I'm doing the dirty work and I'm always holding. Like, I'll sit in my back spawn on hotel watching the full wrap for 2 minutes straight,
Sure.
and I'll be sitting at 6 and 12 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But like they don't understand, like the stats obviously don't show that I'm sitting there holding this for my team, and then let's say they get 3 dead and I have to go chow the hill. There I go, 6 and 13. They full stack, and that's the round. So I held that for 2 minutes just to die once in the entire round. Like, I don't know. It's a little fugazi to me, but you know it is what it is.
Yeah, I was leaning on. I've been from the perspective of it's definitely fugazi, and this is a completely made up stat that we're just adding random formulas together. I just wanted to. I'm gonna continuously ask players the rest of the season how they feel about their certain overall ratings, and just see if there's any kind of validity to it at all. If you want me to, I can read what your other ones are. Like you have you got a 64 on control. Sue has an 87. Sus has a 75. Pups has a 79. Your highest is 86 on hardpoint. Sue has 68. Sus has 60. Pups has 83. Pups' overall rating in all 3 game modes is 84. Sus's is 67. Sue's is 78, and yours is 74.
That's crazy. Like sus being that low is just wild to me, man. Like the route man is just not getting paid with those stats.
I was just getting ready to say
Like, that's
the
wild.
unsung hero. There's a reason they call it the unsung hero, right? You don't get the song sung about you, but you get the job done. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. So ain't nothing wrong with that, dude. I'm all for it. I mean, if you fill the role that your team needs, which clearly you were doing very well, then who cares, right? So who cares?
No matter. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing, to be honest, until you guys just told me that. So
Well,
It's
now
a-
he's gonna be watching it like a hawk.
Well, I had
every
just
map we looking at it.
I had just noticed that this overall rating existed this week. Well, last week I think. Hold on, hon. So I was asking around with some people, some staff members and shit, trying to figure out like what the formula was, where this came from, and shit like that. So now that I kind of got a little background from who's putting the formulas and the numbers in, I'm trying to ask players now how they feel about it and see if it actually correlates or if it has any validity at all.
It's all like what you think. Some people think the numbers is everything, and you'll probably get some answers that be like, yeah, like it's crazy. I have a 90 because I dropped 2.0s, but I have 3 seconds on time and I don't get a trade. You know, like,
Yeah.
but you know, the answers will vary probably, but.
Route man gets paid. That's how it
Exactly.
goes, man. I'm all for it. I mean, you again showing that with over a minute and a half in hill, and still managing to win over half of your engagements in that hard point. A solid showing from you in the control as well. So that's all I have.
That's it from
congrats
me.
on a great victory, a nice clean 3-0 sweep into Clemson, and moving yourself up the rankings in the Charlie division at a record of 1-1, but just edging out Clemson, who has a 3-3 map count versus your 4-3. So that one map that you guys won against Final Four may end up being super important when pulling the top 2 teams from each division. So congrats on the solid win. Can't wait to see what you guys do next week if you can get the match actually scheduled.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll try and get it scheduled. We need a 3-0 just to guarantee it. Even if I'm gonna assume Final Form is gonna beat Clemson. So even if like they get one map out of them, it should be, I don't even know. It'll be like a 3-way tie or some weird shit. I don't know.
Oh man,
Yeah,
I hope there has to be a play-in. I hope there's some sort of sudden death bullshit.
There probably won't be. I think it's just top 2 make it or something. But
Yeah.
And it'll probably go off of who won the tiebreaker match. would
Yeah,
be
it
my
will.
guess.
I'm just hoping for the best
So-
content, you know.
I don't blame you. No, I don't blame you, man. So thank you, Bonk, for joining us. We appreciate your insight. Again, congratulations on a killer series and taking the 3-0 victory home against Clemson.
thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you guys having me on today.
Yeah, thanks for being here, man.
Absolutely. I appreciate your willingness to participate in league activities. This is new for us. We haven't. Last year was a little bit. It was like pulling teeth trying to get players to do content. So this year's been a blessing to me. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Have a good night, bro.
And peace.
So you heard from Bonk. Fantastic match again. As we
Keep talking,
spent
I'll
a
be right
lot of
back.
time. We spent a lot of time hovering over that hard point, especially with the immaculate performance that we saw from Bonk and company in that map number 1. But moving on into the map number 2, we had S&D on Hotel. Again, a very closely knit round for the first 8 or so, or very closely knit map for the first 8 or so rounds, trading back and forth until it hit round number 9 at a tie of 4-4, and Aspire winning back-to-back rounds to take that one. Sue, a huge performance for Aspire in that one, 13-6 with 11 non-traded kills. And non-traded kills, man, that is almost as important a stat as you could possibly get in a game mode like Search and Destroy, where trades are literally everything. So that was 11 times that he was able to wipe somebody off the map without having his life threatened. So
To me,
great job from Sue.
traded kills are in almost every game mode
Mhm.
are equally as important as OBJ.
I think in a way it is, right? Because obviously the OBJ is what stacks you points, right? But I think to your point, you can't get the objective points without having the non-traded
Exactly.
kills.
It's a gateway.
Or at least winning the non-traded, or at least winning the traded kills battle. So you don't necessarily have to beat your team out in non-traded kills, but you do need to
Exactly, yes.
lead in that aspect in terms of getting your trades and putting yourself in the right position on the map. So I agree with you 100%. And if you watched our last episode, you heard me raving and ranting about First Bloods
Jinxed it.
making the team, as Clemson, throwing a wild stat here at me, will be the first S&D that we've seen on stream that they lost while winning the First Blood battle. So Clemson,
Say that 5 times
outdoing-
fast.
I know, right? Clemson outdoing Aspire in the First Blood category by a score of 6-4, and Clemson still not able to take it. Again, and then our map number 3.
What do you think? Hold on, before you move
ahead.
on. What do you think? Why do you think that changed this match?
Really, I think it boils down to the map control that we were talking with Bonk about from Aspire. Being able to put yourself in the correct position to make a play on whatever bomb site you're hitting or trying to retake. Even if you get first blooded, what matters just as much is the ability to trade quickly and be adaptable. And being able to adapt on the fly and make that play call. Hey, we got blooded at A. We need to rotate to B. Let's try and pick up a kill on the cross. Whatever has to happen. So I think while the First Bloods are extremely important because it notches that first section in your belt for the round, what is equally as important is the team around you able to play off of that First Blood? And I think that was something that we saw Clemson struggle with.
So would you say that it being at 73% was just a coincidence? Or do you think that it will consistently correlate over 50% if you have over half of the First Bloods, you will win consistently?
Or
it happened to just be coincidence.
I think a lot of stats can be driven off of coincidence, but I would say I'll stick to my guns and say that I think a good rule of thumb for winning Search and Destroy is getting the First Blood, provided that your teammates are playing well together. I think that cohesion is something that is really important to take advantage of those First Blood kills. And if you don't have that cohesion, if you don't have that map control, then whoever gets the first kill really isn't going to matter, because you're going to get caught with your pants down and get two-pieced, or whatever. You're not going to be watching the correct angle. You're not going to be able to communicate with one another and say, hey, this alley's open, this line of sight is open, and then you're going to end up getting beat out without the numbers advantage, or with the numbers advantage rather. So I'm going to stick to my guns and say that as we get into the higher level teams consistently, so I would be interested to come back to this stat once playoffs happen. Right, once we get these top 8
I want to come back to
teams-
this stat before playoffs start. I want to see a
Okay.
total regular season percentage of
Sure.
first blood equivalent to winning that round.
I think that would be really telling.
And I also
think
think that it would be, I don't want to say opposite, but it won't follow the same pattern in the playoffs.
See, I think that's where you're wrong. We'll have to agree to disagree on that, because I think the teams that are your most talented teams are going to be the ones who are going to be able to take advantage of the first bloods. I think as you reach a certain
That's
point
fair.
of talent, right, you're going to be able to, you're not going to have players that are going to, start shaking at the knees the second that they go down in live advantage, right? But your best teams are going to be able to play with that live advantage and put themselves in better positions to make the trades necessary to win the round. So I would almost say that we will see that stat increase during the playoffs, but we'll have to see.
That in the middle of talking about that, it made me think, if you, let's say we're round 2, round 3 of an S&D, you get killed as first blood, you make a sigh, does that chalk your teammates?
I think it depends on the mental fortitude of the team. I think it depends, right? I think there's a difference between sighing and being frustrated that you got killed in the way that you did and completely chalking the team chemistry. Because if you're mentally resilient enough, and most of the people who have been in and around this game for a while know that some of that stuff is wishy-washy. Sometimes you get first blooded and that's just kind of how it goes. So while I think a sigh can maybe throw off or discombobulate some of the teams, I think most of the time your top players aren't going to be upset if they get first blooded. What they're going to be doing instead is relaying the information to their team as to where they died from, where the player who killed them is pushing, where that means the rest of their team could be set up, especially if you're trying to attack a bomb site. So while yes, I think it can have a negative impact, I think it's probably pretty rare that we see that happen.
Fair enough. Along those, I don't even think this is along those same lines, but as I think back to last night's match and the listening, as a former player yourself and a caster now, I completely lost my train of thought.
Uh-oh.
What were we talking about?
Baby comeback. The sighing in the middle of getting first blooded. You were talking about listening to one of the team listen-ins, and you were going to ask me my opinion. Probably something related to comms.
Yeah. Are you looking for, when as a caster or as a former player, when you go into those listen-ins, are you looking for constant, clear communication to where it's like, died here, spawned here, teammate left, teammate right, or if someone can get their point across in a clear 3-4 words and there happens to be some dead silence in the listen-in, is that an issue? Because for some reason, every time there's been a listen-in, not in just K7 either, this is in CDL sometimes too, a listen-in will happen and there'll be a little bit of dead space where maybe nothing's going on or something like that, you know what I mean? And they'll go back to the casters and the casters will say, terrible comms.
Yeah, I think it's sort of, I don't think there's a right answer to that question. I think it depends on the team makeup. I mean, if you have 4 extremely knowledgeable and extremely experienced players, then, maybe the comms don't have to be quite as frantic or quite as constant. Because they're going to know to look at their mini map and adjust where they're looking based on where their teammates are spawning. So, I don't think there's a right answer either which way. I would say that as a player, when I played, I preferred more consistent comms.
You preferred to hear someone's voice at all times?
Not necessarily at all times, but for a majority of the time, for sure, because I think that small talk is something that a lot of amateur teams lack that a lot of pro teams are really good at.
So that's what stemmed my question originally. Sure. Is you mentioned small talk when we were talking to Bonk, and when you watch the pro listen-ins, you don't hear the small talk a lot. You don't hear the excess, extra, any of that. You're hearing the opponent location where I died, and that's basically it.
Yeah, see, I think again we'll have to agree to disagree. I think it depends on the team, because if you look at a team like FaZe, right, that thrives on fast-paced run and gun submachine gun play, I think you'll hear the sub players calling out. What I mean by small talk is I spawned here. I'm going here. Not every single call out has to be there's a person from the enemy team at this location, he's one shot, or I died to this person. What I mean by small talk is I died, I spawned back alley, I'm pushing up A. I spawned back alley, I'm pushing up B. I spawned.
I just feel like, to me, that's a regular communication. That's something that should be a standardized comm.
I agree with you, but I think one thing that we see at the amateur level is that they don't have that.
Fair.
I think that that's something that, because even then, right, and again, as a player, there's so much you have to focus on. As casters, we get it pretty easy, right? We get to watch the map,
The
as
bird's
a whole.
eye view.
Right, exactly. We get the 1,000-foot view of the matches. And I think as a player, you have so much to try and focus on that hearing comms sometimes goes in one ear and out the other. So that's why I think the constant comms can be good for some players, because, if I'm my teammate and I just heard, hey, me as the other player spawned back alley, then I know to be looking in this direction, right? And it sort of becomes an unconscious thing. You sort of do it by muscle memory. So I
guess
think,
it really just depends on the player's play style.
It does. I think a lot of it depends on the team. And again, sometimes you'll see the super high level teams that have 25 plus years of combined experience between all.
Hey, the Greenwald, their comms are calm, and there's a lot of dead space.
Mm-hmm. And again, I think part
the
of that
Thieves
is because
also
they're so
similar like
right?
that.
Right. I mean, it's because they're so knowledgeable. They know where their teammates are going to spawn. They know.
And they just have the background. It's almost muscle memory on spawns.
Mm-hmm.
Like they know if, okay, this dude's not spawning here, he has to be here. And it's just muscle memory for them. And I think that's very important as well.
Agreed. I mean, again, with experience comes victory a lot of times in this game, especially. So that's a great question. I think it depends on the team chemistry. I think it depends on the team makeup. And some teams are going to have winning formulas that differ from others. So.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to... Let's get into the Monday match before we get into the off streams.
Yeah, so again, if you missed the match on Monday, it was Night Marchers versus Expulsion. Again, a team that I played.
A very, very, very surprising outcome to this one as well.
Yes, it was. Again, Expulsion, if you missed our first episode, a team that I placed in my top 4 has now been upset by a 3-0 margin from Night Marchers. Map number 1, again, was Hardpoint on Fortress, a final score of 250 to 184. And one thing that I noticed watching that was halfway through P4, halfway through the 4th point in the first set of rotations, the score was almost knotted up, 92 to 88 in favor of Night Marchers. But
so the second rotations, they whooped some ass, huh?
They had a humongous run. So after P3 in the second rotation, the score was 208 to 120. So that is a 116 to 32 run in favor of Night Marchers. And when you have a final score like 250 to 184, like that Hardpoint was, that 116 to 32 run is everything.
That's 2.5 minutes to half a minute in control time.
Yeah, close to it. Yeah, I mean, a little bit less than, a little bit less, but yes, I mean, close. I mean, you're talking a 4 times turnover in time received. And I think that is something that really opened the way for Night Marchers to run away with the rest of that map number 1 on the backs of some incredible play by Iconic Legends. He was 31-18 with 25 non-traded kills. So let that sink in for a moment, right?
Wait, you said 29?
25.
25.
So 31-18 in total with 25 non-traded kills. 5/6 of his kills were not traded. So
Absolutely disgusting, Gunny.
that's unbelievable. I mean, the ability for him to basically, that is 1 in 6 times that he gets a kill, he's getting out with, or he's not getting out with his life. 5 out of those 6 times he gets a kill, he's getting away and is able to make a difference somewhere else on the map. So incredible job from him. Revenge coming in as well with a 29 and 28.
I know there's a couple
scoreline.
revenge highlights that we got. 2 of them, I think.
I bet I watched a couple that were nasty from the match when I rewatched the VOD. So, and again, only one player south of the 20 kill mark. So a lot of kills flying back and forth between the two teams. Only one player south of the 20 kill mark, and that was Nutty for Expulsion, who I believe only was able to manage 18. So lacking a little bit in the slaying department coming from Expulsion.
I have a stat here that's, well, we're just going to play off that overall number because I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't really get it yet. Not including Savior United, okay? We're not going to include them.
Sure.
Other than them, Proof has half an overall of every other player in the league.
Wow.
Oh, that's not true. That's not true. Because Vibe for Safari has a 22 overall.
Okay, so
But Bonk,
the
or I
lowest
mean,
on Expulsion, I'm assuming, right?
Proof is definitely the lowest on Expulsion at 31.
Wow. Definitely. I don't know what the criterion are for this.
He has a
overall
56
rating,
hard
but
point, a 37 search and destroy, and a 63 control.
the 63 in control is redeemable, but the S&D numbers definitely need to
37.
improve. Yeah.
He went 4 and 7. It looks like no plants, 1 defuse.
So a struggle for the S&D for sure, which segues into the final score of that map, which was 6-4. Again, traded rounds up until it was 2-2, then 4-2, then 4-4, then 6-4 in favor of Night Marchers. So traded the first 4 rounds and then 2 in a row apiece, respectively, for Night Marchers and Expulsion, and Night Marchers getting the being the benefactor of those final 2 in a row. Taking it at a score of 6-4. Again, Iconic Legend with an 11-4 outing in that search and destroy. So really paving the way.
Let's see what his search and destroy is. Oh yeah, this overall's got to be bugged or something. Aspect. Well, no, let's look at Iconic Legend. Overall for all 3 game modes, 78. Not bad.
It's pretty high.
It's respectable. Hard point, 89.
Yeah, that doesn't shock me.
Search and destroy, 76. Control, 70. Not bad.
Not bad at all.
I
I mean,
his teammate here, I just want to read this because it stood out to me. Aspect has an S&D overall of 43.
So maybe a player that needs to step up a little bit in the search and destroy game.
89 on hardpoint. 89 is the... Okay, no, it's not. 89 on hardpoint is pretty high, though.
It's got to be like in the top 5, top 10.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, he's probably number 5, I think.
That doesn't shock me. Again, Iconic.
Shoxy from NOLA with a fucking 95 overall in hardpoint.
Wow.
And there, and his teammate Skater at 94. Same
That's
game
unreal.
mode.
That's unreal. So Noah Flight, I mean, and that makes sense, right? I mean, Noah Flight, we'll get to brushing up on the off-stream matches here in a little bit, but Noah Flight taking a 250-25 victory against Pobo Esports,
and then they forfeit.
Yeah, I know. Which honestly, I don't blame him. You get 250-25.
How the fuck does that happen? How do you?
By
How
very
does that
poor
happen?
team play. By very poor team play.
No, that's get. How do you get? You had to have gotten 25 off break, lost your hill, chalked it up, and then just fed.
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't watch it.
I gotta find a VOD for that one. Somebody had to have streamed it.
But Noah Flight again. So one of the only teams right now who is 6-0 in map count, completely dominating.
How many 6-0
Alpha
teams do we
division.
have?
6-0 in map count, none.
Oh, they're
as
the
of
only
current.
one.
They're the only one.
Wow.
So, granted, not all teams have played their second match yet.
Fair.
We're still waiting on Millennium 7.
We could say they're 3-0.
They're 3-0.
Who do they play?
Millennium 7, I believe, plays SYG.
Oh, I don't think they're sweeping that.
Yeah, I don't know. But Millennium 7, so
I think they win that, but I don't think
teams-
they sweep that.
3 teams could potentially be 6-0 at the end of this week. That being Noah Flight, obviously, who has already secured it. Millennium 7, who is currently sitting at 3-0 in the Bravo division, and in the Delta division, Triptych Esports sitting at a 3-0 map record as well. So
Triptych surprising the league.
I know, yeah, they played really well against Savior United. But again, I think that we have understood that they may be a team that struggles. So
Respectfully.
yeah, I don't, and again, it is what it is.
Since we're on the
but-
overalls and I excluded Savior, we'll just read theirs now since we excluded them.
Mhm.
I mean, I can just give you the idea by reading the overall. Don't even have to go into game mode specifics, but... Well, has Savior played both their matches?
No, they have not.
They have one
Savior has
more?
played one match.
Okay, so
Triptych
maybe
and
we don't
lost.
judge them so much. Maybe we don't
Sure.
judge them on this.
Sure, leave them
But-
be for a minute.
Yeah, but just to have it out there, Flames with a 28, Fling with a 32, Flung with a 24, Just Axe with a 36.
So, I mean, either Savior United coming out a little bit cold, or Triptych coming out on fire during
Well,
their match.
they won those maps pretty handily, if I remember correctly. Triptych
Yeah, I didn't
did.
see the scores. I know that Sinus, I think is how you say it.
Cynics?
Yeah, that one. Cynics. He, I believe, eclipsed over a 90 in that hard point rating for the side of Triptych Esports. So again, a great showing from him at least. So Triptych, again, looking pretty solid. So walking down through the divisions here right now, we've got the top 2 from each division as it sits. In Alpha Division, we've got Nola Flight and Pobo Esports at 2-0 and 1-1 respectively.
Who did
Bravo,
Pobo beat?
They beat Unwanted Gods by a score of 3-1. So Bravo, top 2 in Bravo being Millennium 7 and SYG, who are playing sometime this week. So potentially allowing Night Marchers to weasel their way up into the second spot in the Bravo division, sitting at 1-1, depending on how that match goes. Charlie, right now we have Final Form and Aspire, which I think, based on how we saw them play Clemson, unless Clemson has a sort of come to Jesus moment, if you will, I think that may be the top 2 we see in Charlie. And Delta, top 2 being Triptych and Hyped Esports.
I think
coming off the
Clemson just had a
heels.
bad night, by the way. I don't think it's
I don't-
I don't
you know,
think
I
they
don't
need
disagree
a
with you.
miracle turnaround or anything. I just think it was a bad night.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think Clemson is definitely still a contender here. I think Charlie
Is a
originally, I think,
stacked ass division, man.
It's definitely stacked. I think, originally when we looked at it, I think we were, under the assumption that Delta might be the most
I always said
competitive
Charlie.
division. Really? I would have said probably at the beginning that Delta was one of the most competitive, what with Hyped and Natural Talent being in that division as well.
Oh no, that's the one I said. The Hyped and Natural Talent one. Division 4,
that,
yeah.
To me, I think would be the most competitive on paper, but Charlie turning out to potentially be able to throw some wrinkles in the mix here as all 4 teams vying for the top 2 spot.
Absolutely. And I forgot what I was gonna say. What's the next match? Oh, I remember now. Go Hyped Esports.
Mhm.
Their second match is this week, right? Or they played it
Yes.
already?
I don't think they've played it already. No. I think they are set to play Savior this week.
Savior. Okay, so
Either that or Triptych.
if
it's
I'm
one of
not,
the two.
I think it's Triptych.
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken,
Let's see here.
that match got moved to Monday. Yeah, it is Triptych, and it
That
got
is
moved to
correct,
Monday.
yes. Mhm.
Hyped Esports lost 2 players today.
Oof.
So Conwa has a team of 2 tweet that went out. I don't think or know if they had subs. I don't know if those guys are gonna play. But it looks like they're looking for 2 new dudes. So I think that really shakes up the landscape, because I'm under the assumption a lot of people had a lot of belief in Hyped Esports to do very good things in this league this year. This season.
I agree. I mean, if you go back and look at our first episode where we went over who the staff thought was going to be in the top 4,
Every staff had
every
Hyped in
staff
them.
member had Hyped in the top 4, if not in the top 2, right? So
And
it
in
was
7.
definitely something that what with Hyped losing half their roster may allow Natural Talent to redeem themselves off of that 3-2 loss that they experienced last week and work their way up into that number 1 or number 2 spot, depending on how the Hyped versus Triptych match goes, which I'm really excited to see that one. That one, again, is going to be on Monday of next week, and hopefully at least one player is going to be streaming that match so we can see it play out.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think we have a Monday match scheduled yet. So
That might be a good one to pick up then, because that may very well decide the
if Hyped can find a roster.
It absolutely, right now as it sits, it absolutely will decide first place in Delta for the moment, because both teams, Triptych and Hyped Esports, are sitting at a 1-0 record as of current. So at least for right now, that would decide who is the number 1 spot in the Delta division, which could really shake things up going in towards playoffs.
I don't know if we can have a week 2 match on Monday of week 3 though.
I don't know how that'll work. If we can, then
We might doubleheader it.
My vote is yes, we should. Because, by the way, it will be myself and Alex McCormish, Mr. McCornmeal, casting on the Monday
The
night
legends
match.
are back.
So it'll be my first time back in the casting booth in quite some time, and I'm excited to be able to share it alongside Alex, who's a great personal friend.
Shout out
and
Corn.
incredible caster. So I'm really, really excited to be able to share the stage with him Monday night, and I hope we have
And Wednesday.
a banger match. Yeah,
We'll see
I don't think
Shifty
he's
on
casting
Wednesday. No, we
right?
won't
You
see
will
Corn on
me
Wednesday. We'll see
though.
Shifty and Kamika. Kyle Kamika McCarth.
That's right.
Or McCart.
Yep. So myself and Kamika will be on Wednesday as well. So I get a double dose. I get a double-decker dose this coming week of K7 casting. So how's that for back-to-back alliterations? A double-decker dose of K7 casting?
Say that 3 times fast.
Couldn't do it. But yeah, so it was a great week. We had some wild upsets. I think both of the matches
Both
on
stream
stream
matches
could
were
be considered upsets, right?
definitely.
So and they were won in a handy fashion. So really interested to see how next week goes through and going on into playoffs, who our top 2 teams are going to be.
Yeah, I'm very interested. I just don't know if I feel like Division Charlie and Division Delta are so heavily weighted that it's like a few years ago in the NBA when the West was so good and then it was just like LeBron.
Yep.
And so whoever comes out of Charlie and Delta, I hope the playoffs end up being an ACBD format when they first play.
Yep. Mhm.
Because if it starts out as Alpha and Bravo playing each other and Charlie and Delta, we're going to get the best match in the quarterfinals, and we're going to see a dog walking in the finals.
See, I don't know though, man. Nola Flight coming from the Alpha division.
Oh,
looking
yeah, in the Alpha
scary.
division, yeah.
Looking scary.
That's true. That's the
and
LeBron.
Millennium 7 not looking half bad either in the Bravo division. So I do think that we may see at least some heavy
comment there.
contention from the number 1 team as of current in the Alpha and Bravo divisions. Those may be your LeBrons, if you will, for the
There's only
theoretical
one
Eastern
LeBron.
Conference. Well, we'll see.
We'll call them the
see.
Paul Pierce Celtics.
There you go. Okay, so we should find out here actually in a couple weeks. Week number 3 going to be transpiring starting Monday, this coming Monday, the 21st or the 23rd rather. This coming Monday will be a look at the final week of regular season play for this section of season 1, and we will hopefully be able to decide the top 2 teams from each division by the end of that week. So
Definitely. I'm glad that we've had really good matches, and I'm also glad that we've had a lot of surprises. Because if this season would have played out the way everyone was expecting it to, it would have been extremely boring.
yeah, definitely a clash of, it would have been a very David versus Goliath-ish sort of standpoint for most divisions, I think. So really happy to see teams like Aspire showing out.
Final form.
Really happy to see teams like Night Marchers showing out and taking a handy victory against Expulsion as well. Maybe being able to take it to SYG when they eventually play. So
Absolutely. I don't think I have much more besides
I don't think I have
the
anything else to
clips. We can get into the clips real quick. Let's see if we can get this right. A little inception or podception for you. Boom, 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 boom. We'll get into the revenge ones first.
Last possible minute, courtesy of Proof knocking the guy out of the spawn. But Revenge, he's shown to be a little bit of a thorn in the
Yeah,
side
this
of
was on that
Expulsion as
first
well,
map,
going straight on in
Hardpoint.
and having his way like it's Burger King on the objective. No one can really
Having
contest
his
him in the
way like it's
sub-department right
Burger
now. I
King.
mean,
What
like,
a
seriously, this guy
fucking
looks to be
call.
one of the best players for Night
Yeah.
Marchers so far here, Kemchi.
great
Absolutely,
call,
man.
great
Like I said, I was not
shots,
expecting,
great
wasn't
head glitch,
expecting
great map
anything less
position
coming in from
here
him.
as
And we
well
also
for
got
Wait,
Lucas
was that
Sonic here, man.
considered
This guy's already
snaking?
on a force spree looking to get that
No,
cruise.
technically
I mean,
not.
like, seriously, this guy looks to be one of the
That it
best
has
players
to be
for
a
Night
little bit
Marchers
more
so far here,
consistent,
Kemchi.
and you technically have to lay all the way
Absolutely,
down
man.
for
Like
it
I
to be
said, I was
considered
not
snaking.
expecting.
Is snaking not allowed?
It's not that it's not allowed; it's just really frowned upon.
So it's like masturbating on an airplane?
Exactly.
Gotcha. Another Revenge 2-piece.
Off. Benji going to try and find that kill over to Doors over there, and Revenge gonna have to try and find that kill onto Benji. There we go. Nice stuff coming in from him. Nice 2-piece coming in for
Damn,
Revenge.
got
Super
picked off
crafty
at
with
the
a
end,
nice
though.
quick trade.
Absolutely huge, though. I mean, being able to pick up those 2 kills right there in the middle of the map towards that P1 side, and then inside the middle of the map, really opening up that left or that right side, respectively, for the side of Night Marchers. So 2 big kills there from Revenge.
Yep. Speaking of the bad overalls, we got a Proof clip.
Find that last kill. Nice little trade coming in from Iconic, and Night Marcher's very solid P2 hold, and they're also
One,
going to maybe get the rotation, but Prop's going to get out of this top plat. And he's going to, that's basically going to be the rotation there for Explosion. Explosion, very nice stuff coming in from them, and especially nice stuff coming in from Prop.
Cleared it out to
Basically
get the next
single-handedly
point. That was nice.
That was a part of so one thing I actually didn't mention, I mentioned the incredible run that Night Marchers went on in that map number 1, but I failed to mention the fact that Expulsion brought it back a little bit there for a while. They had a nice run of about 60-ish straight points to even make it as close as it was. So at one point it was like 247 to 120 something, and Expulsion almost getting 60 straight points to bring it back up to that 184, I believe that they finished with. So that was an example of great rotational play from Proof and company to try and bring that game back. Unfortunately, to no avail.
And it's always nice on the ego when you can negate a 100-point club.
Absolutely, it absolutely is. It's real good. Sits real good. Sits real good as a player to not allow that to happen. So
This one titled, let's see what here titled, Nutty Birthday Boy Cracked.
On the strategy of that in just a second as Nutty is coming in on the
You know, I
flank,
think I
right
saw
from
this clip.
Benji.
I think they
Ooh,
posted
Bruh,
it.
shot him through the
Cracked
crack
just a
in the
little bit. That's
door.
experience
What?
coming through for you, and now the break coming back on in.
This is
Only
in
one
the,
player left down beneath him, and he sees him, and he takes him down. Nutty.
That took so many
Nutty,
shots to
dude,
kill
is
him
the
though, what the
birthday
hell?
boy coming
That was
in
a
and dropping
big, that's a
present
big
right onto
offensive
Night
play
Marchers.
from
So,
Nutty though.
that's gonna be
I mean,
coming
especially
With the
in
360?
while they have to
Solid defuse coming in
defuse
here
the
now as
bomb
well.
too, that
Expulsion.
two piece is absolutely gigantic and really
On the
led
strategy of that in
Expulsion
just
to
a
winning
second
the
as Nutty
round.
is
So
coming in on the flank, right
great
side of
entry
That's
frag
so
here.
disgusting.
Yep, great entry frag here. Runs up, gets out of dodge, and then comes back down and is able to take the second
The
kill.
door
So
saw cracked.
fantastic
Just a second
play.
as
from
Can't
Nutty
use
is
the
coming in on
arrow
the
keys
flank,
to
right trying get
rewind on
Benji.
this.
Ooh, through the door
Just
saw
learned
cracked
that.
just a little bit. That's the
unfortunate.
experience coming through for you, and now the break coming back on in. Only
This one says, Night Marchers, listen in. How do you lose that, bro? Some shit talk, maybe?
Stop maps. How do you lose that, bro?
I mean, it's a fair point. Top maps is such an advantageous
Stop maps,
position.
stop
Being able to
maps. How do
gun
you
from the
lose that,
bottom
bro?
like
Come
that
on.
is an almost unwinnable
Oh my
gunfight in
God.
most scenarios. So I can understand why he would throw some shade.
Iconic legend. The fucking legend. Play that boy again.
Stop maps. How do you lose that, bro?
That's just juice. Saying that so calmly, that's just juice.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely oozing confidence.
Last week's clips, iconic. Another one.
able to trade themselves out pretty effectively, and I like how they condense themselves together there towards the end, making it so that if they try to go for aspect here at the end, quick
Oh my
transfer,
God.
expected them to a T.
Ew,
Iconic
that's
Legends,
gross.
that was
That's
pretty cracked, dude.
gross.
And so,
Iconic,
trading
that's
one round for one round.
gross.
Defense for defense. Trade themselves out pretty effectively.
Alright,
and
see
I
it
like
again.
how they condense
Gigantic
themselves
kills that
together there
led,
towards the end,
again,
making it so
iconic.
that if they
Small
try to go for
crack.
aspect here at the
Mercado.
end,
Oh my
quick
11 and
transfer,
4
expect
from
them to a
Iconic
T.
Legend. So
Iconic
I can see why he was almost triple positive.
Iconic again.
is not quite gotten to the spot where
Jesus.
he can contest them yet, so this will be an opportunity for Benji to take him down.
Ooh.
but
Man was
unfortunately
having a
gets to the angle
series.
second best. And so now with Expulsion all dead, Night Marchers will have an opportunity to recover here, Kimchi.
Yeah, and honestly, man, I think once Iconic gets onto that little truck heady, it's just kind of impossible to take him off, and he's just proven to just do
That
it
wasn't
all
even
here.
a
Nice
heady, he
little
was just
kill
halfway
there
on the
coming in
stairs
from
right
him,
there.
Getting Croft from the front. Now he's got to be careful because
How about
Benji.
the
How do you
trying
lose
to
that,
get
bro?
kill.
The
Never
great
mind
comms,
Iconic.
the great
Just going to read him
comms
like a book,
there
find him,
too
and
for
just
Iconic
get
to be
him
aware
done and
of his
dusted.
top
I mean, he is
doubles
just doing
there
such
and
a
ensure
great
he's watching
job.
the
Oh,
flank.
Prof gonna
Just again, a great
How
example
do you know
of
that's
map
comms?
control. Because unless he just has
So
a
now
sixth
with
sense and
Expulsion all
knows,
dead, Night
I mean, so
Marchers
go
will have an
back to
opportunity
about the middle way through the clip.
Yeah, and
Actually,
honestly,
right
man,
here
I
is
think
fine.
once
So,
Iconic gets onto that little
let's
truck
take
heady,
a
it's just
look
kind of impossible
here.
to take him off, and he's
So
just proven to
he's
just
watching
do it all
closed
here.
and
Nice
watching
little kill there
open. He's
coming in
holding a
from
head
him,
glitch. His
getting
teammate
Croft from the
dies
front.
in
Now he's
top.
gotta
You
be
see
careful
the
'cause
skull
Benji
there.
Ah, gotcha.
His
trying to
teammate
get that kill.
dies, so
Never
he
mind
knows that he's
Iconic,
coming top
just going to
doubles,
read
wrapping
him like a
around,
book, find him,
trying to
and
hit the flank.
get him
Great
done and
comms,
dusted.
great
I mean,
heads up
he is
play
just
by
doing such a
Iconic,
great job.
and really
Oh,
ensured the
Prof
rest of
gonna
that
take him
hard fight.
down.
Hell yeah. Glory clip from last week, by the way. One of the players that is no longer on the hyped roster. It is only, I don't think I mentioned it, but it's only Kanwa and Rico or Choco.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah,
all that's
those
left
are the
now, huh?
two. Those are the two that are still on the roster. This one is a comic. I'm assuming he has an incredible call here. I'm pretty sure he's the one that had the Burger King call, so it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Is going to be coming out from Real Estate Chill. He's going to be God dumpstering that guy. Second to aim down Silas, but first to get the kill. And so Proof is all by his lonesome up against 4 people again.
My God, man! I mean, Expulsion. They constantly are getting put into.
Incredible casters we have in this league.
Really true. Really true. Kamika is a real gem. And the
He-
fact that he's good at producing while he's commentating. I know he doesn't have to for K7, but in the other leagues I've worked with him on, fantastic commentator.
Brother's a consummate professional.
He really is.
This one's titled "Didn't Go According to Plan." We have 10 clips this week. I think last week we only had 4.
Yep.
We got up to 10 this week. Not very many clips from this match, I believe. I think not a lot of clips from last night, maybe. And some
not a lot of clips from Aspire and Clemson. Yeah.
For
That
Night
spot,
Marchers.
by the way.
And yeah, that's a pretty good spot here from Crafty. He's not going to be able to get spotted by Chill, and you know you could be expecting a
It's a
giant
great
play coming
peak
in from
spot,
him. And
actually.
soon the shots
Really
are coming in.
underutilized.
Wait, he
I feel
can't see
like.
through that?
No, I mean the shooting through it, the bars get in the way. But it's a great peak spot if you're trying to see where they're at on the hill.
No, but Real Stay Chill can see him, right?
Yes.
Through the- through the-
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so what do
Yeah,
you
from the
mean?
cage. Oh,
It's a great
no.
peak spot because a lot of times they're laying down behind the barrels, trying to hold time.
Gotcha.
So being able
Chill
to peek
finds
through
him.
there,
Man,
now
that would have
granted,
been
I don't know
something
if I'm gonna
insane,
stand
but
there
never
as
mind,
long as
Chill.
he did. But
Okay.
it's a great peak spot at least to see where they're at in the hills. So
The way he was positioned, it just seemed like no one could see. It's like he was standing right there in the middle of the whole opening, so I just didn't understand if...
Right, yeah.
Not
Yeah,
allowed
definitely
to
not a
happen,
great
and it's
place
just gonna kill him
to
off. And
pitch a tent.
Yeah.
But definitely a great momentary peak spot.
I believe this is the last clip of the night.
Gaming. Let me break down the strategy of that real quick. They noticed how aggressively their opponents came in at them the last time, and so they figured, hey, maybe they'll do that again. But this time, Night Marchers, they did play a little more carefully.
That nutty
The main
clip
thing for
we
the
watched
side
earlier.
of Expulsion was we want to all stay alive towards
Sounds
the end.
about
We'll have
right.
the best chance if we can use our teamwork to our favor, and that's exactly what they did. They kept themselves all alive towards the end, and they didn't really lose too many people when they made that final coordinated push, Kimchi.
Was there an incredible call there?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Love that we're getting caster clips in now. Shout out to
Agreed.
Hero for clipping casters. Love
I'm
that.
gonna have to really up my game next week. So
Oh
I can,
yeah, brother. I'm getting
get a
so many
couple.
corn clips, bruh. Getting so many corn clips. You better bring
Good
out
deal.
some multi-syllabic words.
I know. Did you see that posted on the K7 Twitter?
Bro, it's been posted
Great
on
moment.
that Twitter like 4 times now.
Great moment.
You
Great
say
moment of me and
multi-syllabic though.
Corncasting.
Every time someone says you have a good word, multi-syllabic's your go-to, so.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a nice word. It sounds good. Rolls off the tongue.
Yeah. It's a multi-syllabic itself.
It is.
Well,
All right.
I think that's it for us. Nice little well, we went 5 minutes over this time. Instead of 58 minutes, we got a minute or an hour and 3. I think we ran through everything pretty quickly. I liked the formula tonight. It was a good show. A great week of amateur COD. We got one more week of regular season next week. That's Monday. I think the first match will start at 9. But don't quote me on that. If there might be a double header depending on what we do for the Hyped Esports Triptych match. But cast by Shifty and Corn, the best casters the league has to offer. Straight out of Sauce's mouth. You got a problem, you can come talk to me about it. Wednesday, the last chance to see the regular season stream. Then playoffs will start not the weekend following Wednesday, but the weekend after, I believe, will be when the playoffs are.
Good deal. So
Next
coming
week
right
I'll have
around the corner.
more schedule. I'll have more playoff schedule layout for you guys come next week, but not at the moment.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. Again, this has been Shifty and Sauce Mandela for the Headshot Podcast, again, powered by the K7 League. Hopefully you enjoyed our little breakdown. And again, thanks to Bonk for joining us to talk about his experience in the match. Cole, anything else before we sign off?
I don't think so. Please like and subscribe. Peace.